This was recorded at the media joint.
They'd found half of a dead body in the water just before we raced and pulled it out of the water. I fucked up early in my career, so I think like I'll forever get tested.
That is so rogue.
Boy, that's a bit rogue.
Is it even that rogue?
Welcome back to another episode of A Bit Rogue with Skye and Tori. Welcome.
Hello.
So I just want to jump straight in here. Why is it so hard to find a decent guy in your 20s, 30s? I feel like they're either joining a run club at 5 a.m. and wanting to be up rising super early, or they are still bendering or partying until 5 a.m. Like, why is there no balance? It's like, it's one or the other. Like, I need to find someone that will have a couple drinks and go home with me.
He can still go to run club, can't he?
Yeah, he can go to run club, but like, it's like one or the other.
I love
5
run
a.m.
club.
You love run club? Have you
Yeah.
started run club?
I unfortunately don't have that luxury as a single mother. I have no one to watch my child if I do that. The best club I can get is the 5K runner app.
I don't know if I could go. I don't know if I could date someone that, like, you know, you go out, you have fun at 12 o'clock and then they're up at 5 a.m.
It's called ADHD. Sorry, some of us can't sleep in. I actually do remember before, when our first night we stayed in Japan, Alex was like to me, Skye, in the morning you can just relax, you can lay there. And I was like, I can do this, I can, because she knows that literally, like, doesn't matter if I go to bed at 2, if I go to bed at 3, I will literally bang on 6:30, I'm awake.
Yeah, well, I just want to find someone that will go home with me before 5 a.m. My ex would literally be like, you can go home, I'll get you an Uber, I'm staying out. I'd be like, cool.
I don't like that. That's
No,
like,
I don't like it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't like
that's
that
not
at all.
nice.
Like, you know, I don't know, have some fucking respect.
But if you had to pick, would you prefer the person that sent you in an Uber or run club?
Run club, I think.
What about the boys that do the barbecuing?
I like barbecues.
Yeah, I don't mind guys that get into like slapping the meat and fucking rubbing it in salt.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that stuff, like good family vibes. But yeah, you can't be, I don't know, you can't be waking up super early or staying out too late. You got to be one or the other.
So no
I mean,
tra-
sorry,
no
one in the middle.
traits.
I'm going to find the middle ground. I want the middle ground. I want someone that will go out with me to like 1, 2 a.m. and then let's go home together and let's wake up at 8 o'clock and go for a walk and a coffee. Is that too hard to
So
ask?
you just want a red cat man.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Actually, that's a lie. He benders.
No, what do you mean?
But he does go for walks with you.
In the afternoon.
In the
And he
afternoon,
benders
yeah.
like every weekend.
That was a really bad analogy.
yeah, sorry. Take it back.
So what I saw on TikTok recently reminded me of this theory that I used to have in my early 20s. So I actually would say like more like late teenhood. My theory was to not increase your body count, you revisit your fuck it list.
Wait,
right?
it's so funny you say this. I just watched that movie, What's Your Number, or whatever it is, and it's literally a whole movie about this. And she doesn't want to go over the number 10, so she tries to get with all the other guys and like see if she'll marry one of them. Have you not seen this movie? It is, okay, exactly this. You need to watch it.
So I had a list in my notes, obviously, like every girl does.
I don't think I
Really? Well,
No, I definitely did back
unfortunately,
in the day.
when I was 22, I thought I was with the love of my life, so I deleted my list. So after we broke up, it made it very hard to backtrack through my list.
Remember.
Yeah, it was hard, but I actually then, because I did it so often, I got into this mindset of like, I don't want to meet someone new. I'd rather just stay comfortable with people I've
You
already
are
been
like
with.
that though. Like you have been for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel it like it's like the damage is already done. You've seen my flaps. What more can go wrong?
Oh my God.
So, infy moment of the week, Dal.
Okay, my info moment's just like accumulation of things. So when I DJ, I've actually had the most crazy comments said to me. And one of the ones that happened on the weekend was, you're really stunning, but your music fucking sucks. Play some stuff with more lyrics. And like, I'm not a mainstream DJ, so I was like, go get fucked. But I was like, who the fuck writes that in a message? And then second one was probably a guy came up to me while I was DJing. This is like in the first couple of years, and was like, that's a funny looking kitchen. Why are you DJing? You're a girl. Like straight to my face, full serious, not joking. And I was like, is this actually taking the piss? And I've had someone say to me, if you want to be taken more seriously, you need to dress like a boy. And I'm like,
Why? So you can carry on and tell everyone that you know?
yeah, it's so interesting. Like people are just like are so savage with like females in the industry, and it's so like that's not even the start of it either. Like I have a million stories exactly like that, like that constantly happen to me, and it's like, dude, when are people going to accept the fact that like women can do what males do?
Yeah. Actually, men can't do it, ladies do. I pushed something out of my hoo-ha before.
Yes, exactly.
Haven't seen a man do that before. Don't want to see a man do that either. My infy is actually not mine, but it came into my brain. One of my childhood friends, and I had this memory pop into my head. And when we were in year 9, we were a bit cheeky. We'd sneak out and go meet up with our guy friends and whatnot. And one night, my girlfriend got with one of the boys, and we were at school, and she was passing notes, like writing notes and explaining to another friend what had happened. And she wrote on the note like that she thought she might have had thrush from sucking his dick.
Oh God.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing either, and I literally learned it like 2 weeks ago from Red Catman. He was like telling me, and I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, so you can. Anyway, she was paranoid about it. I still to this day think she had an ulcer, but anyway, and went home from school as you do. Take your uniform off, pop the telly on. Her dad comes out and says, "You know, what do you want for dinner?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know." And he goes, "Do you want a cock meat sandwich?" Because he read the note that was in her pocket. He was doing the laundry and read it. Her dad said that.
Savage.
Her dad.
Well, was he taking the piss? Like, was he saying it as a joke? He thought it was funny, or was he like?
He was annoyed. And that was his like, bad girl.
Oh my God.
How hectic's that?
That is really hectic.
I was like, he's just like an Aussie stern dad.
okay.
Cock meat sandwich. Don't be passing notes in class, boys and
Oh,
girls.
and then putting it in your pocket before you get home.
Don't put it in your pocket. Put it in the bin. I'd rather the year coordinator find that than my dad.
Yeah,
Jesus
fucking hell.
Christ. So on theme of our athletes, we have a very exciting guest today. Welcome, Emma. Do you want to give us a little bio on yourself, what you're doing, who you are, what you're training for?
I would love to. So I'm Emma Jeffcoat, and I'm an Australian professional triathlete. I went to Tokyo Olympics, and I'm currently training in preparation to, I guess, put my best foot forward in making the Paris Olympics.
Very exciting.
Exciting.
We only just learnt that you don't know that you're doing the Olympics until like a month prior, which I think that is like...
That's
wild.
wild. I thought
Yeah.
you would have known like 6 months or a year before
same.
or something, for sure.
I know it's cruel, and by that point I feel like family and friends will have to sell a kidney to be able to afford accommodation in
Oh,
Paris.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
cool because in Tokyo no one could come and watch, and now people can, and you're like, well, how's that going to be affordable?
So how does that, is that the same in every country, or is that just in Australia?
Each country and each sport has its own kind of qualification.
Yeah, right.
For tri, they're just leaving it, I guess, to the last chance that they can to see who's most informed. Which,
Yeah, well.
honestly, historically, it's served them well. So, like,
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
method to the madness, but it does make it hard as an athlete, because I feel like as the games approach, people ask you, like, oh, do you know if you're going? And you're like...
Yeah, stop asking me.
Yeah,
that would
stop
actually get
asking
really
me.
stressful. Like someone asks you, probably every time you see people, they're like, you're like,
So what sports would know? Like soccer, obviously, because you know...
Yeah, if the team's qualified, and then I guess like events like swimming where you have a trials,
Yeah.
and you know, like, if you've come 1 or 2 and met the time you're going. For us, there's one more chance at a race to automatically get picked, but if you're not automatically picked through right of result, then it's discretion. So they have a meeting and they just pick who they think's the best to go, which is what happened in Tokyo, because
Wow.
I guess we weren't racing. So, and discretion's discretion. Like, they can pick whoever they think's best, and they don't need to give you a reason why, which makes it pretty tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and especially like sometimes if you're not racing well, you kind of know you're not going. But I mean, we're still a long way out. I say that relatively, but yeah, as it gets closer, if you think you're in with a shot, it's really like, and we find out on a phone call. They just call
Wow.
you, and it's like you yes or no, and see you later.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty hard.
Wow. So you recently came back from Hong Kong. You got really sick. Can you explain what happened?
Yes. I've had a really rough March. So the week before Hong Kong, I'd raced at Nationals, came off my bike, needed 12 stitches in my knee. And then I was like, you know what, my knee's fine. I still want to go to Hong Kong. Again, I didn't race all of last year. I had some other stuff going on, health, bit of fertility stuff. So I was like, I really need to be racing to try and, I guess, get on this team. So I was like, I can't miss another race. So went over to Hong Kong, race, came 15th. I was pretty happy with how I went. And then that night after the race, I just became so ill, like fucked.
Like Bali belly ill?
Yeah,
or
like I just felt nauseous, and I'd gone and had pizza for dinner. My mum came over to watch the race, so I was with her, which was really nice. And I was like, do you feel unwell? She's like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, oh, anyway. And I was like trying to make myself be sick so that it would stop the nausea. Didn't happen. And then I was like, I just need to go to sleep. Like, I'll sleep this off. Woke up like half an hour later, just violently ill. And I was vomiting and on the toilet for like all through the night until about 4 a.m. And there was like nothing left of me. And I went downstairs, got my temperature taken. It was like 39. And I just had the full body aches. And so I just slept, literally, we got a late checkout. I slept that whole next day after the race. But I mean, we've raced and then I've like thrown up and got rid of everything. So I was so dehydrated.
Yeah.
Flew home. We laughed because mum flew business and I was economy. Still didn't give her business class seat up. I was still at the back of the plane. Anyway, and landed back in Sydney, went straight to ED, and they were like, yeah, you're so dehydrated. Just put me straight on a drip, filled me up with fluids, and kind of then sent me home that night. So this is Tuesday night. Wednesday, I went back to training. I was feeling okay. Thursday, I trained, would have done nearly 4 or 5 hours of exercise that day. Thursday afternoon, I was driving to go away for Easter, and oh my God, it hit in a second kind of spell. And I lost all my dignity on the Pacific Highway. Honest to God. If anyone saw a pink number plate driving up the coast on Thursday afternoon, yep, it was me. I literally was one of those people pulled over at the phone booth and was just violently ill. And I reckon maybe stopped 10 times up the highway.
Oh my God. Vomiting?
Vomiting, diarrhea again, my temperature,
so
I was
you had
shaking.
to shit on the side of the road?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Dignity is gone.
Yeah, don't worry. Happens to the best of us.
At that point, I could not give a fuck. And I just was I think I'm going to have to sleep in my car. And I called my mum and dad, and they were like, I think they might have had a few drinks, because they were like, maybe call an ambulance. And I was like, what? Maybe come and get me.
Yeah.
And I was meeting my family up the coast. Anyway, I finally made it there just before midnight, and literally I was shaking and crawled into bed. Next morning I was back in hospital and spent Easter in hospital, and they literally they were really, really worried, and they put me on the monitors and got me in a gown. But when they're settling you into a bed, I was like, oh, this is not good.
Did they figure out what it was?
Yeah, so they did all these tests and figured out it was a bacteria in my gut from the water that we swam in.
Wow.
So they're meant to test the water quality before you swim, and they gave out numbers that said there was E. coli in the water, but it was swimmable. Yeah, it would have been through the roof.
Wow.
It's Hong Kong, and we'll swim in the harbour. And then
interesting.
And then one of the girls, who so many of us were sick, over 50% that raced, one of the girls found an article and they'd found half of a dead body in the water just before we raced and pulled it out of the water.
No.
Yes. The shit that would be in that water.
Oh my
Literal
God.
shit.
I'm surprised they even let you swim there in the
Wild.
first place.
So as an athlete, where do you stand with that? So do you guys go, okay, we're going to take action against the company, or what happens?
It's so tough because it is part of our sport. It's swim, bike, run. And some of the coolest locations we race at, unfortunately, the flip side is they're probably not the best waterways. Paris, you'll be swimming in the Seine River. People haven't swum in the Seine for 100 years.
Yeah.
It's brown.
Wow, interesting.
It's gross. Tokyo, they actually flew over a doctor specifically. This is kind of crazy. But
Australia?
And you can only have limited staff, and the water was not nice in Tokyo. So they took a sample before I got in the water, and then I raced the individual event, and then they got my next sample after racing, and the doctor made these specific antibiotics to kill the bacteria that I'd ingested just in that one swim.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, he was you have swallowed literally so much shit.
Wow.
Wow, I'm
It's
so
wild.
shocked about all of
gross.
that.
So, yeah.
Not a glamorous life.
Wow, okay.
Are you concerned about Paris? Because I've seen a few articles where
Yeah.
not sure if it's going to be ready in time.
Well, that's the thing. They had to cancel because it is a health concern. Like, people get really sick. And as athletes, like, I haven't trained now for over a week. Like, this is the first day I've started exercising again. And it's like, that's my livelihood.
Yeah.
And also, like, my body being healthy and able to exercise is, like, my life. So if this was America, I would sue. But
But that's what I mean. Like, do you guys consider suing? Or?
yeah. Yes, and no. Like, there's been instances in the past where people have gotten sick and it's almost like after the fact they come out with this like excuse as to why we all got sick, and there was a gastro bug, but we all know it's from the water quality.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of just like
hard
a
to prove, and
yeah.
then, like, it's kind of not worth it.
No, but yeah, I guess we are, I guess, worried about Paris because that's not the end of our season. Like, we still have a lot of earning opportunities to race and earn money for the rest of that year. So it's like, if you get sick after Paris, like, I don't think people realize you earn no money at an Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, unless, like, you've got sponsors bonuses, like, you're not winning money. So it's like, it actually is like a period in your racing for the year that you're not earning money. So
interesting.
if you come away and get really sick from it, it's like, that's further time off.
Wow.
Earning
Yeah. Do you have
capacity.
like insurance that would cover that kind of stuff?
No, good question.
Yeah, maybe like travel insurance. I
Yeah.
don't know. Because I know for DJing, you have to have like insurance in case like you hurt yourself on stage or someone else hurts yourself at the show, kind of thing.
I'm sure the Australian team or
Yeah.
Olympics would have that covered as your athlete package or something like
We
that.
definitely have it, like, travel insurance and like personal insurance.
Yeah.
But I wonder how like the water quality.
Yeah. Interesting. Look
You
into it.
briefly said that you took last year off for fertility, so you froze your eggs.
Yeah. So
I don't think people know that you're a nurse as well.
Yeah. I did nursing as well.
Yeah.
So last year was a shit show. I've been injured tons in my career as a triathlete. I definitely am not like your typical triathlete body type. I'm definitely more of a solid and bigger build, and
People usually tall and lean, or what's
height's not so much of a factor, just like lean.
Like skinny?
They're skinny. Like they're not solid.
wow, that's
they're
really
really skinny.
surprising to me.
It's definitely shifting, and it's really positive that it's shifting. But historically, and when I came into the sport, no.
Wow.
So I was like, not the norm. And
Yeah.
it was literally, I remember someone being like, you're going to have to lose 10 kilos if
It's
you ever
so
want to be able
weird
to
hearing
compete.
you say this though, because you are such a petite person.
See, I don't in my head, no.
Yeah, no,
Like,
you are.
and that's just like sport, and
Yeah.
it messes with you. But kind of, I guess, the result of that is then like I just was injured for years because I just tried to strip weight off, and then I'd get stress fracture after stress fracture. So go figure, I got a stress fracture last year in my femur, and that meant I was going to need to take like 3 months off. And so I found out about it just before I was meant to leave for Europe, and I'd booked accommodation for like 3 months, all this stuff. And I was like, fuck, okay. So the time I was training and living in Melbourne, and I was just like mentally not coping. And I was like, okay, well, number one, I need to go back home. Like, I need to be around family, friends. I'm not going to be able to train. I'm not going to Europe. I need to be like financially stable. And I just need to be happy again. So I moved back home and then got through my femur. But while I was doing that, I was like, you know what? I'd looked into my fertility kind of 5 years earlier, and I was really sick as a kid and knew that it was going to be something I had to act on when I was a bit older. So we didn't look down into it early 20s. They'd been like, yeah, your egg count's low, but the quality's okay. Come back in 5 years. So given I was having this time off for my femur, I was like, you know what? Now's a good chance. Like, silver lining, check the fertility. So I remember booking in. My mum came with me, went down to like the IVF specialist, saw her again. And she made it seem like rosy colored glasses. She's like, no, I don't expect much to have changed in 5 years. Like, you've got your period back. Like, I didn't have a period for 10 years.
Is that from training?
Yeah,
or?
from like too much training, not enough like food. And she was like, you know, like all things seem positive. And so she's like, we'll do the test though and get like the egg quality count and the count done again.
Do you have to do any prep for that, or you just go in and...
It's like bloods and an internal ultrasound.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Not too bad. And it's around like the timing of your cycle as well.
Yeah.
So then as it worked out, I had to be back in Melbourne to see my doctor to like reassess my leg. So I was in Melbourne when she called to give me the results. I'm thinking it's going to be like all good. Wait another 5 years or until I was ready to actually have kids. And she called and she's like, oh, do you have anyone with you? And I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh no, I'm by myself. She's like, oh, I think it's best we do this with like when you've got someone around you. And I was like,
No.
okay, no, like I'll
Yeah,
just tell me
now.
now. Yeah.
That is the
What?
weirdest thing to say.
And she was like, oh, unfortunately, like your egg count and quality is like rapidly declined. I think like you need to act like yesterday if you want to harvest any like viable eggs. And I was like, okay. And
How old are you? 27?
no, I'm 29. So I was
No, at the time.
at the time 28.
28.
And yeah, I just didn't expect it. And I was in Melbourne, and it literally meant that like I was going to be in Melbourne for another week. And the way my cycle was, I was due to get my period like within the next few days. So I literally started IVF like 3 days later in Melbourne by myself.
Wow.
And I just remember being like, I'm so glad in hindsight that I did it, but it was like so full on because I'm single, and it's like I don't want kids right now, but I am so adamant I want them in my future.
Yeah.
And to go through that, and like it's like that whole toxic positivity, people are like telling you all the positives, and you're like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm in Melbourne by myself, not in Europe,
really
not
scary
racing, not
thing.
earning any money,
It's
like
scary.
having to start injecting myself
Yeah.
like to go through this process
Needles
alone.
alone are scary by
Yeah.
yourself, let alone IVF, the consideration of putting away eggs, because it's not cheap.
No, it cost me 12 grand for one round, and I did 2 back to back.
Wow.
That as well, like people, I'm lucky that like there's a medical reason why I have to do IVF from when I was like younger. And so I get subsidized in Medicare like 60% back, but you have to
that's
pay it
good.
up front.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like,
That's insane.
yeah, it's wild. I remember having to ask my parents for help. Like,
Yeah. I would definitely have to
Yeah.
ask for help. Yeah.
and I remember just like my dad, he's strange sense of humor. He just like wrote back. He was like, yeah, sure, Merry Christmas. And I was like, fuck, this is so bizarre. I was
Oh my
like,
God.
and it's just one of those things that you just like, I had such great people around me and felt like I could talk to people about it, but no one understood it.
No,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
not
No one
common
understands.
to
Yeah.
be in your 20s and being told you don't really have a choice.
Yeah. And you're putting your body through, like, I'm an athlete. And it's like my job to be in like best physical shape. Like I grew boobs overnight. I put on like nearly 10 kilos. Like
Wow.
it was really tough. Like you give yourself as much estrogen in one round as someone would normally get in a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know
So, like
that.
the hormones,
Insane.
it's just a roller coaster. And then for me, like exercise is such like a mental health outlet, and
Yeah.
because of my leg, I wasn't able to be exercising.
Yeah.
So it was just
So
such
you just
a
get
tough
slammed
period.
with so many things.
You mentioned that you're single.
Yes.
So do you feel like because you are training so much and you don't really have 100% stability in where you're currently living, let's say.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that affects your dating life being an athlete? Like you're pretty much married to the sport?
Yeah, 100%. I think I've had this conversation a lot with friends and like my sister a fair bit, because I always complain to her and she's like, oh, please, you'll find someone the minute you actually start looking. And I kind of like for a while I just roll my eyes at her, but I think she's 100% right. I think for the minute, like my priority
It's not your
is
focus.
no. And I'm not looking within the sport. A lot of the like a lot of athletes date other triathletes.
Yeah.
And that's not where my interest lies.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very much someone that like has a life outside the sport.
Yeah.
And it's like triathlon's what I do. It's definitely not who I am. So I kind of can't wait for like life after the sport and being a normal like human and being able to like go out, socialize and meet my person. But yeah, at the time, for the minute, as you said, like we spend nearly like 6 months of the year overseas traveling.
Yeah.
Like I say that to people. I'm like, so what? I meet someone here and it's like, oh, okay, so I'm about to be away for the next month. Like you'd get it probably DJing. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm going to be away for the next month.
Yeah,
at
people
these
don't get it. People are like,
races.
oh, it's going to be fine. I'm like, no, you don't get it. It's
No.
going to be 6 months of the year, and sometimes it's 2 months at a time.
Literally.
Like,
And you're like, I'm not free to just pick up the phone. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm busy following
Yeah,
my
of
ambitions and
course.
my career.
yeah.
But like in saying that, when you meet the right person, of course, like
Yeah.
priorities do shift.
100%.
But
I
I
love
think
that you're positive about
Yeah.
post-career, because I feel like for a lot of athletes it can be a really scary, you know, what's in the unknown, because it is all you know right now. Realistically, is like,
yeah,
you know, the sport.
100%.
Though you are good at, you know, having your own life as well.
I think you have to. And like, I think being someone that probably like shifted the game, not the game, but like shifted it a little bit within Australia. Like when I first started doing tri, no one went to uni, and it was like almost, I was kind of like seen, like not looked down on, but like seen as not taking it seriously enough or not wanting it
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And I remember like people had this like perception that I just was like a tourist as like not actually an athlete. And I was like, hang on a second, haven't anyone ever told you guys you can actually enjoy this life while you're an elite athlete? Like you don't have to literally race, go back to your hotel, train. Like you can actually see the world.
Oh, I love this.
And enjoy it.
Yeah,
like you
100%.
can go out and have a drink after the race
Yeah.
and like go and sightsee, and fuck, you actually might wake up and turn up to training the next day a better athlete because you're happier.
Yeah.
Exactly, 100%.
Not miserable all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's like it took me just kind of doing it my own way and knowing that like when I'm happy, I'm also healthy and I'm going to be around in the sport for a lot longer. And like results came, and I think it took like those results for people to be like, oh, okay, no, like she is serious, she does want it, she does work hard. But yeah, like I would have probably been the first athlete that finished a degree whilst
That's so
racing
cool.
internationally.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
You said something
Inspiring.
about drink post
Yeah.
comp. I've been to a bottomless with you. I know how you can drink. So because you do have that balance,
Yeah.
when do you say to yourself, like, obviously every single comp you have at the moment is very important.
Yeah.
But when do you go, okay, I need to maybe reel it in, and I'm not gonna, socialize as much as I normally do.
Yeah.
Especially coming up to like trials. But
Yeah.
even Hong Kong, like that's a big,
Yeah, 100%.
still a big race.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And again, it's like hard because your friends are in this chapter of their life where you're like, you want the best of both worlds. You can't always have it.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, I've just gotten really good at knowing like when I need to be disciplined and rein it in,
Yeah.
and when I can dial out a bit and have fun. So it's like, I guess when we're in off season, kind of from like November through till like maybe Feb, you can enjoy yourself, which is great. It's the summertime.
Of course.
You can go out and drink, but like I have never taken drugs because like one, I don't agree with it, but two, like that's something that we can never do. We're like always tested
Yeah.
all year round. Doesn't matter if you're racing or not racing.
For sure.
So that was probably something that like growing up was tough, because it was like you'd be going out with your mates and it's like, okay, well, this is the time that I need to probably just leave and go home. Like I can't put myself
Yeah.
around this.
Did you feel pressured to do them when you were younger and around a lot of people? Because like I have this conversation with a lot of my friends and they're like, oh, like so many people don't do it. And I'm like, oh, but so many people do it. Yeah, so many people do drugs. And like anytime I've been around someone that said I don't want to do it or I don't want to do it, it's like good. But I think a lot of people would feel pressured, especially being around those environments.
I 100% think if I didn't have that athlete card where people respected that,
True, yeah.
it made it so easy because I never had to explain myself.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Everyone was always like, oh, yeah, she's an athlete. And
Yeah.
I've been drug tested for like since I left school almost, like not long after that.
Yeah.
So it's always been like just an easy, like you don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
If I didn't, I reckon it would have been tough.
A bit harder.
Yeah.
And do they test for every type of drug?
Honestly, I've been tested, like I fucked up early in my career, so I think like I'll forever get tested. But the way it works is like you have to tell them your overnight location every day of the year. So they have to know exactly where I'm going to be overnight and how to like...
Just tell them to add you on Find My iPhone.
Yeah,
Honestly,
what?
do you know what? That would be
for
easier.
real? That's crazy.
No, it gets crazier.
Every night?
So every night they need to know your location, and to the point where like if you're in a unit, like to get in the door up to your unit, they need to know the key, like the code. Yeah.
Wait, who needs to know this?
Like Sports
Sorry.
Integrity Australia.
Right.
But they can pass the data on to like World Anti-Doping. Because like there was a period at the start of this year I got tested, or the end of last year, I got tested 3 times in like a month.
Yeah.
And it was like,
You're like, what's
World
going on?
So
Anti-Doping.
did they knock up at your door?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you do like stay at a guy's house or
Yeah.
whatever, you have to say that you're staying
So
there.
you need to change your location, and it gets like
Oh my
better,
God.
worse. I don't know what you want to call it, but we have to give them an hour every day, and where you're going to be in that hour time slot. So like not only where you're going to be sleeping, but like it's easier just to put your hour time slot at home.
Yeah, but you could be on a date.
If
or
you're
like,
out, if you end up somewhere that's not home, you need to change it, because like that's how I like fucked up recently. Was I said I was going to be at home and I wasn't home yet, and I got a call and I was like, fuck, I need a hustle. Because if you're not home within the hour, it's a strike, 3 strikes, 4-year ban. Because it's a way of evading a test. Like if you were
of
cheating,
course,
you'd just not answer the door or be hiding. And I just fucked up. Like, and as it turned out, I was literally in my car eating McDonald's, waiting for the tow truck to come. Like I was just like, fuck my life. But yeah.
So is this every day of the year?
Every day of the year.
And is that because you're training for the Olympics, or is that just?
I guess if you're an athlete of a certain level,
right,
you go on the registered testing pool, and there's someone you're someone they want to keep checking to make sure, like, so they take blood and they take urine. So like urine, they watch it come out of your body. That's how. Yeah. So like they're like squatting in front of the toilet, like watching, and you're like, because you
got to be confident with your
How
body.
do you-
Honestly,
No,
yeah.
but like, where do you sign up for that job? Like, what is the job
That's
role?
what I always ask.
What is the job role?
Do you know what? It's always these old, lovely women. And I'm like, have you not... Yeah, but have you
Is it
not
a
got
nurse?
something
Just a
better to
nurse?
do? The nurse takes the blood.
Okay.
There's a lady, like, officiates it all. And then someone that's the, like...
The witness.
The witness, yeah.
I'm so
Piss witness.
surprised.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I've
Wild.
never knew that.
So that's, like, a part of, like, everyday life.
Yeah, wow.
So, yeah, every night, 10 till 11. And it shits me because, like, most of the time I'm in bed asleep before 10.
Yeah, I was about to say 10 to 11, that's late.
But at least I know I'm going to be home.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
Yeah,
like
you're
you're
right.
not fretting that, like, oh, it's 8 p.m. Am I home yet?
Of course.
Not that this is the same thing, but I went on a date with an athlete and he got the call up to need to have a MRI. So we went and got an MRI as a first date.
That's cute.
Yeah, if you're sitting in a waiting room for 2 hours by yourself, wearing a mini skirt and little heels, sitting there like, what's going on?
I hope you got a second date.
Wow. No. That's called volunteer. Did you come prepared with your most rogue moment for us?
Yes. Well, I was listening to a few episodes. I've been listening to most of them, but I was like, I need to recap and go back and just listen to everyone's rogue moment. Because I was like,
there's been a variety.
there has been a variety, thank God. Because I was like, mine's definitely got, like, of recent times. I was like asking a friend, I was like, what do I go with? And she was like, go with like your gastro. I was like, no, we don't need to hear about shit. I was like, no. So I was like, true to fashion, I came with 2.
Yeah,
one, I'm
perfect.
mortified.
Yeah, sure, tell us both.
One, I am mortified by, so I'll leave it till second.
Yeah.
But first, and it's, well, whatever. And the first one, so I just think it's like, probably sums me up well as an athlete. I got my first stressy in 2016.
What's a stressy?
Like stress fracture
Oh,
in
yeah.
your bone. Like,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
So I got my first stressy, and again, it was in my femur, and I was in Mexico, and it was like 2 days before World Champs. It was the first time I'd made the team for Worlds. And they literally sent me home the 2 days before, and I was devastated. Anyway, landed back in Australia, went and saw the sports doctor, and she was like, yeah, it's actually not as bad as we originally thought. Like, you just need to kind of like stop running, stop exercising on it, and you need to take 8 weeks off, but you'll be right. And I was like, all right, sweet. I literally booked a ticket back to South America and went traveling for 8 weeks and literally went on these like hikes through Patagonia, was in like Peru, went to like La Paz, like all these places, and just lived my best.
Mad.
Literally lived my best life. Anyway, I remember being at this bar in Ecuador. Obviously, South America, Coke is just everywhere. Again, don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Went to the bar and I was like, oh, can I just get a Coke? Like, meaning, can I just get like a glass of Coke? They literally pull out a bag of Coke from the bar. And I was like, no, just a glass of Coke, like Coca-Cola. And they're like giggling and laughing. And I just remember being like, holy shit. Well, one, I could have been having a very different holiday. But 2, I was like, oh my God, like, wow.
That's actually really
Wait, so were you by
surprising.
yourself or were you with someone else?
But I spent maybe 2 weeks of the 8 on in a group tour,
Yeah,
and the
cool.
rest of it like kind of solo.
Imagine that, just like...
It was wild. I had the
I would
best
be like,
time.
am I getting arrested? What's happening?
Honestly, and then like
You probably just freaked out. It's no,
That's really surprising
It's
because
bizarre.
Ecuadorians are very like, I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, like polite,
Yeah.
like reserved. And like, I also didn't even know Ecuador was a country until I went to Worlds and we did like this little, I don't know if you guys probably do it at the Olympics, like the exchange.
Yeah.
So we were doing exchange and all these girls were from Ecuador, had these little bracelets. And I'm like, what the fuck's an Ecuador? And then someone was like, it's a country, doll. But yeah, wow. So land of the...
That's insane.
Wow,
That's a good
Coke.
rogue moment. Wow.
it was bizarre.
Did they take it back
crazy.
or...
Yeah. They were just laughing. And I think
And
it
then
would
did
have
you get
cost me
your
more.
Coca-Cola?
Yeah, and I think it probably would have cost me more. But I just, it was bizarre. And I was like, came back and just had the best time and came back and raced so well the next year. But I was like,
that's
see,
epic.
if I had listened to them, I would have just been at home on crutches moping around.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
probably
No.
sad and
Buy flights.
Not
bad
good for your
mental
mental health.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
come on, tell us your.
Yeah, tell us a second.
next one.
Oh my God, I don't know if
That
I
was good.
want to tell this. Mortified. Okay, so we race in like little costumes, like literally swimmers. And now like most of the suits have legs on them. They've got a bit more coverage. But anyway, this goes back maybe 5-6 years ago. Anyway, I was
So
at
like a one piece. Yeah.
cozy. I'm like running, swimming, bike riding, all the rest of it. Anyway, I was on the bike and we were racing in Leeds. So it's like a big city in the UK, and like Leeds is, the Brits are mad, and so the streets were packed like 4 people deep, just so many people watching this race in the heart of town. Anyway, it was the end of the evening, so like a lot of people would it was a Saturday too, a lot of people were a bit pissed watching, and I came off my bike, I got a flat tire, came off my bike, so I was a bit sad and was like walking my bike back to where the athlete lounge is because I couldn't finish the race. And there's literally people everywhere. You're in a like suit, you've been racing, so everyone knows you've been racing, having a look. Anyway, this lady comes up, taps me on the shoulder. She's like, "Love, you've got a flap hanging out." And I was like, "Oh my God, like literally kill me now." And I was like, "Oh my God." So like I'd come off my bike racing and there's like literally look down. I'm like, holy fuck. Like my costume is like half up my ass and half not covering half my body. I was like, wow.
Oh,
And
that's
this
what you call
lovely-
loose lips.
Literally this pissed woman from a pub's like been like trying to just help me out, and I was like, oh my God, I want to die.
Nah, but what a legend for coming up to you.
Oh my God.
Just walking around.
Walking
like,
the streets with your
half
bike.
feminine.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, everyone's looking at me because I'm like racing, and then you're like, oh my God, wow.
Holy shit. Well, you know
shit.
what? I'd rather it happen overseas than
Fuck
home.
Yeah.
We laugh about it as girls because like it's just not part of the sport, but like you literally race in like next to nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Riding, running, so it's like you get so comfortable with each other and
Yeah.
so comfortable just like running.
Probably
like,
someone was sore and was so tired that they were just like, ugh.
no. I remember telling the girls after and they're pissing themselves and I was like, oh my God, we need to
Jeez.
get suits with more material.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Every single guest that comes on the pod.
Yeah.
I love when
gets a
you explain this.
So I actually forget what I called it. Oh, I was really proud of it. No, I remember.
Yep.
It is the triathlete trifecta trivia.
Okay.
So it's 5 trivia questions and you have to get 3 correct to get a pat on the back.
Oh, nice.
But the questions are really easy. They're Olympic
Okay.
questions.
Oh God, I don't know if that's going to be
But
easy
like
for me.
this is shit that like you learn in primary school and like I had to have a refresher.
Yeah, this might show me up.
So question number 1. What is the symbol of the Olympic Games?
The 5 rings.
Close-ish.
What are like the 5 coloured rings?
The intertwined passings of athletic colours.
Yes. So it's red, black, yellow, blue, and green.
Yeah.
I have the bloody tattoo on my arm. Let's hope I know what the symbol is.
Let's hope so. But I'll
couldn't-
give you half a
Okay,
point.
cool.
Half a point.
All right, due to COVID, how long has it been since the last Olympic Games?
Ooh, 3 years.
No.
Wait.
No, almost 5
So
years.
almost 5 because of COVID. Number 3. Which city or country has held the most Olympic Games?
Which city or country? God. America?
Athens.
Fuck.
That's where it fucking started, Dal. Jeez. Well, you're not going to get 3 now, but we'll just ask the last
Yeah.
one.
At the
Oh my
Sydney
God.
2000s, who was the flag bearer?
Okay, this is so embarrassing. Was it Kathy Freeman?
Ian Thorpe.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good second.
I just spat. I'm so sorry. You actually got them all right.
Oh my God, did I actually?
You got them all right.
Fuck off. I was like, when you said 3, like 5 years, I was like, I'm going to have to just settle with you on that one. But I was like, it's definitely 3.
I was like, let's gaslight her into thinking she doesn't know any of the answers.
I was like, fuck Me.
I was like, I'm going to start laughing the whole
I
time.
know, I could see you in the
opened
corner
my
of my eye. You were quivering, and I was like, don't look, don't look, don't look. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
for
so
coming
much.
in.
That
My
was
pleasure,
amazing.
It was nice to pick your brain, actually. Learned a lot. Especially about having to check in. Like, that's admin within itself.
Seriously.
Yep, proper
Wow,
life
eh?
admin. No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to A Bit Rogue, where we uncover the stories of athletes, artists, and celebrities with their most rogue moments. Episodes dropping every Wednesday.